Welcome to the Daily Word, verse by verse. Grab your Bibles and follow along as we study the book of Romans. Keep in mind, I am using the Holman Christian Standard Bible. So if you're using a different translation, the read is different, but the message is the same. Also, don't forget that these Daily Word, verse by verse studies are uploaded to my YouTube channel, BP, The Bible Perspective. That's BP, The Bible Perspective. So, hey, like and share this video and also subscribe to BP, The Bible Perspective. All right, we are in Romans chapter 12, and we're going to pick it up with verse 4. Now, verses 1 to 3 is sort of a prep. In other words, hey, where do I start from in terms of ministry? Now, think about this. Where do I start from? If I wanted to rise up in the ranks, I could certainly do so. I know how to play the game, and it is a game. Titles, fancy robes. You learn how to emotionally move people. Okay? But notice, and I'm going to go back to 1, and I'm going to read before because it's important where we're going with this. So as Paul shifted from salvation, talking about salvation, now how do I live out my Christian life? So he segued into this thought. How do I serve God? So he says, by the mercy of God, I urge you, present your bodies a living sacrifice. So now living sacrifice meaning I'm doing something, right? Living, I'm doing something. So I'm going to present my bodies a living sacrifice, but not just any kind of way, by the way. You don't come to God any kind of way. You don't present yourself to God any kind of way, but I present myself a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. So just so we're clear, if you're in your mess, stop. But here's the thing too. If you're in your mess, whatever your mess is, whatever your sin is, notice he says, stop and let's recalculate. Because I'm not presenting myself to God holy and pleasing if I'm in my mess. So the first thing is don't be conformed to this world. So let's say, some of us, we may have to start with here, wherever here is. So he says, I urge you to present your bodies as living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. Now, how do I do that? Don't be conformed to this age, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So this is where a lot of us are going to start. Not with a theological education, but how about practically maturing, changing, conforming, so that I am presenting my body to God. Notice this, bodies, he said. Those sinful bodies. Think about that, right? Those sinful bodies that's always trying to pull you into sin. So the first thing is, he says, get control of that by renewing your mind. Then you'll be able to discern what is God's will for you. What is the good, pleasing, and perfect will of God for you. You'll be able to discern that. You're not going to know God's will until you transform your mind by his word. Then you'll be able to discern. And then he says, don't think of yourself more highly than you ought to think. Don't be conceited, arrogant. Many Christians are, many ministries are. But I am to think in proportion to the faith. Everyone has been given a proportion of the faith right here. And that's important because there are certain ministers that think they are above everybody else. There are ministers that think they are in a different class. And they condition the people to think that they should be in a different class, right? There's ministers that think, I need that jet plane. I need a little jet plane because I can't stand in line. I can't stand in airport. I can't lug luggage and go through security checkpoints like you all. See, they don't think more highly than you ought to think. All right, so he is saying all of that because now, again, how do I serve God? How do I serve him? So those are the sort of attitudes that I should be working on. Now, verse 4 He says, now as we have many parts in one body and all parts do not have the same function, so in the same way, we are many, verse 5 again, in the same way, we who are many are one body and individually members one of another. So the idea that he, of course, used the illustration of a body. The reason why it says that we cannot be arrogant, thinking that I'm better than you or that I have a different function. Now, I think this is important because if you think about a body here, and you think about this for a moment, think about whether you think about it at your church. Maybe you say, I got the best church in the world. And that's a misnomer. You say, I got the best church because it's growing, because we have more programs, we got the best worship team. Or let's even say that your church is more friendly, more loving. Okay, let's say that. Let's say it. But your church is nothing without the other churches. In other words, you can't just elevate yourself and say everybody else is wrong. Think about that. Let's say if this finger is right here, this finger, right? Part of a body. This finger is right, but let's say all of these other fingers are wrong, right? Let's say all the other fingers are wrong, but this finger is right. Where is this finger going to go without these other fingers? Where is this hand going to go without this arm? Where is this arm going to go without the torso? Right? Where is the torso going to go without my feet, my legs? Right? So we all need one another. And of course my head, okay, you can't do anything without the head. So he says, that's why we can't be conceited. No matter how good I think I am, no matter how superior I may think I am, I'm still stuck with these, and they are part of me. Now, watch this. If I'm renewing my mind, I'm gonna say, how can I make us all better? How can I work to build us all up? Okay? So we're all one body, we're all one members. And it is so sad that the church is one of the most segregated. I'm gonna even say it is the most segregated institution in the world. I'm not even talking about racially, by the way. I'm not talking about racially. It is that. Racial is a part of it. But the Methodists have nothing to do with the Baptists. The Baptists have nothing to do with the Catholics. The Catholics have nothing to do with the Pentecostals have nothing to do with the Charismatics. Charismatics don't have anything to do with the Presbyterians, so forth and so on. That's how divided we are. You could have all of those churches lined up on one block, and they don't even know each other in the street. Now, you probably may see that more in urban areas, but I've seen that. And now, this church has nothing to do with that church. I could literally go and sell a sermon, and I use that facetiously, but I can go to this church and sell a sermon, preach, get a love offering, come around to the exact same sermon, and neither one will know. That's how divided we are. And we shouldn't be, because, again, we're all one body. We're all one body. And the reason why we can't be arrogant, because I think we all have different functions. So we can't say, well, because you don't function the way I function, there's something wrong with you. No, we all have different functions. Now, in the next video, we're going to get into some of those functions, what those gifts are. In fact, I'll just do that now. I'll pick it up in verse 6 in the next video. I'll see you then.